Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host John, better known as Dan Roniak's been a fantastic show for you. Huge discrepancy in damage between top DPS players and average players. More Icebrood Saga tidbits, and Mike Z stating that we're not done when it comes to GW2's future. I know a lot of people have been worried. And much more, but first, let me introduce you to my fellow host. He is a moderator over at MMO Champion and hosts Zero to Hero on this very channel, and also Vote to Kick. And we talk about more of the Icebrood Saga with a teaser of some crazy char life, but how deep in the valley will we get to go in the epilogue? Say hello to Jim.
I don't know about all that, but I'm looking forward to the rock concert.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a fun time. I'm just curious. Well, we'll get into all that. But he streams over on Twitch where he answers the age-old question. Some talks about SPVP, but will this be enough to make him sharpen up his weapons? Say hello to Age.
We'll see. We shall see.
See. Thank you for that final clarification. All right, let us jump into it. So, first up, we've gotten some more information about the Icebrood Saga that's going to begin with its epilogue. And I think that's kind of important to note because I know a lot of people have already been seeing the teasers and saying how this isn't darker. It's like, well, this is the transition period, but we'll get into it. But, so there's been an interview with, I want to get the proper place. I think it was a German
Mine MMO.
Yeah, Mine MMO, which we'll link to it, but we'll also link to the Reddit post that kind of helped translate it, which thank you to Delta X Hunter for helping translate it. But also while you're watching it, there was a little teaser also showing off another little thing that's coming with the what looks like the Icebrood update or the epilogue update coming this Tuesday. But yeah, with the interview, it kind of talks about the maps, like how many maps could we expect, the actual character deaths, not like your personal character, but like characters throughout the whole story. Well, I guess that would include your character too. Kind of.
Hey, we died once. It didn't stick.
Exactly. Looking back at Guild Wars 1 for inspiration on the maps, world boss and stuff like that. But as we kind of go each through them, if chat has some things they want to bring up through the interview or something like that, but they kind of talk about the maps. They were saying don't expect a new map with every update. They will also be working with existing maps and expand on those. It's going to be comparable to Season 2, just a little more meaningful and bigger than in both maps from back then. Firstly, they want to start with a big new map and realize things with it they haven't done before. So, yeah, chat's informing me. I will try to bring it up. We probably won't play it too much. Actually, it'll be perfect for this since it is talking about the map stuff. But yeah, if you are watching this live, kind of literally right before we went up with our pre-show, which you can always tune in live, twitch.tv/MAADrealms on Saturdays. But literally as soon as we went live, because I usually try to pick the video and have it just kind of looping so I don't have to really worry about internet connection or slowing up. But they put out another teaser trailer, which let me see if I can pull that up. We might get sound here. No, good, it didn't play the sound. But yeah, this is what the new zone will look like. I'm assuming this is what the new zone is that they teased just this Saturday if you are watching live. It's right here.
Shiny.
Oh, figures I pulled it up right shiny. When it's figures I pulled it up right when it was going to the Bound by Blood thing.
Oh, you don't set it up to like start at the beginning?
Well, I was just pulling up the window and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was watching it and I kept waiting for like the last second or two to have something like the singer
Because
to
it
come in.
broke.
And so no, it was just, it's all it was. Okay,
And everything's
sure, whatever.
going wrong. Come on. Behind the
Finding
scenes.
out that, you know what? So the prologue, it's shaping up to be, you know, a lighter tone, right? And then, you know, they're saying we're going darker with this, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
What else have we experienced that was in a much lighter tone and then went real dark real quick?
Queen's what's it called? Queen's Jubilee?
Prophecies?
In terms of,
I mean,
Ascalon was beautiful, and things might have been,
you think
know,
this is going to get smashed into the ground?
I mean, maybe it might be the like we're going to back to the Char homelands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's not go there, Pink. It's a dark place. So I mean, it's possible that we might be looking at that. Like,
well, and that's important. Like what chat's saying, this looks like maybe the area Kralkatork was sleeping. I mean, and that is important to know. We've talked about in the past weeks. Is this is the area where Kralkatork was residing? Like in Guild Wars 1, you can go there, and basically the mountain ridge line is supposed to be Kralkatork's, some of Kralkatork. Oh, that would be an interesting concept. Like maybe when Aurene flew off, what if she flew back to this spot to kind of change it? Like it be her?
I don't think so. It's
Okay.
just like, because like that makes sense, but I'm like, I want it done for other maps where there's like Kralkatork, crystalline infestation, but that's like covering old maps, some of the POF maps, and it's like, but I guess in terms of time gating, I guess it could make sense. It would just like be weird for me.
I don't know. Like they have been saying that they're going to try and go back and do more updates as opposed to just here have a new map all the time. So
yeah, with the newer maps, I agree. Yeah, I've saying for a long time, but I'm glad they're actually gonna do it now. Said it'd be akin to like season 2, so maybe this is gonna just like be a piece, and then we get more pieces as we go, and then like another map, more pieces type of deal.
Part of me wonders if the prologue might get the old Lion's Arch treatment with sepia tones and everything after release, because if the searing analogy holds true, this entire map is going to be changed after the prologue is done.
Yeah, because they did say in one of the articles later, it might be in this one, it might be later, is remember that the world boss is not going to be dropping in this episode, or anything like that. Like it's coming in a later episode, so it's not going to be the first thing out of the gate. So whether it's going to still even be on this map, I don't know. But yeah, it is a beautiful map, and Chad is bringing up the point. It's like, I do apologize for the horrible quality at the very beginning, where for some reason Twitter likes to unbuffer the, like, you can't like preload it like YouTube or anything like that. But
don't we go to the new area with episode 1? I'm not sure. That's a good question. I don't know if it's going to be like Grothmore Valley, then episode 1's gonna be a new map, or it'll be like prologue will be Grothmore Valley, and then we extend Grothmore Valley a bit more for more story for episode 1.
I agree, Chad. But yeah, I mean, they're talking about the release of September 17th, which will be the epilogue, and they do talk about Grothmar Valley, which I'm assuming that's what this is. It'd be interesting if they were showing like an episode 2 or 3 map.
Yeah, it could be a really huge map like Thunderhead Peaks. I thought that was
Yeah.
a really huge map.
And they're
Man.
nodding back to previous seasons where it could easily expand. Like if they
Man, this
that route.
week is just so full. We got this release coming. Link's Awakening is on Friday.
I got Gears 5. And then I have...
This is coming out. I'm going, Link's who? He better go back to sleep. That's all I know. I'm putting Link to sleep like I put the other dragons.
That is a piece of my childhood. You will shut your face hole.
I don't want to anger Krista.
That's
anger her. Anger me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'll admit my whole analogy with the Searing and Ascalon.
I mean,
that's more like me looking for parallels with previous storytelling. It probably won't happen, but I think it would be kind of cool because instead of it happening to the humans, it's happening to the Char now. So,
I mean, like, I see where you're going with it. For me, it'd be more like, kind of like Ore. In terms of back in Guild Wars 1 or pre-Guild Wars 1, Ore was like put all underwater. So I think it'd be kind of like something similar to that effect. I think that's what you're trying to go for.
Just have a map change like they used to. And now what Netco is bringing up is that it's Rothmar Valley and then Far Shiver Peaks. So so maybe we're not going to be dealing with that,
But they did say that this Grothmore Valley is supposed to be pretty decently big, so for just an epilogue, I mean, sounds like they're coming out swinging.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I think it's fun.
I think
I'm looking
Grothmore
forward
Valley
to
was
it
from the other
either way.
teaser, which was this thing. I can't wait for that. Whatever that is from that teaser.
They also
looks like a destruction derby.
Oh, dear Lord. I have no idea what this is like. Is there a winner, or is it just like an event? Or
do you see that insanity? Everybody's a winner with that kind of insanity.
Look, I've been asking for Char bikes as some kind of vehicular combat method for how long? Like, you're going to find me in Destruction Derby pretty much the whole time this entire release is active. So I'm looking forward to it.
But yeah, so those were the kind of two teasers that were happening. This one you're seeing right now happened earlier in the week, and then the view of the map was the one that just released today on Saturday. But going back more towards the MAAD MMO article, they also kind of talk about character deaths, how they talk about it in Season 2. Spoiler for anyone that hasn't gotten there yet, I'm sorry. But
that's too bad. Sorry.
Exactly. They talked about Season 2, how they had Belinda, and like shortly was killed after. And a lot of people kind of made the remarks of like, with the other ones we had like Blish and stuff like that, saying you only create this character to kill them. And they were a lot smaller back then, but they're saying it's now a lot more focused than it is in the beginning. I'm a little bit worried if we're gonna have bigger. Do you think it's gonna be a character that if they do kill off another character, it'll be a character that we've been dealing with? Because it sounds like it's gonna be a major character, or are they gonna say, "Oh yeah, behind closed doors, Zoja finally kicked the bucket," like someone that we've been so detached from that was still a pretty big character. Chat's hoping it's Flood. We can't be so lucky. Or like he'll become an Elder Dragon.
Yes, the Scrapper class died. something we're not really all that attached to. Actually, I take that back. The current iteration of Scrapper I love. But honestly, did people complain about Blish being killed off? I don't remember that.
I think it was that it was just so quick. Like,
because
I don't know. Like, if
it was
if you play the
developing
stories back to me.
I mean,
Go ahead,
like,
H.
sorry, but Blish had like a really cool background and like just what happened to him, and then the interaction with Gorik and Timey and everything else. And then it kind of felt short-lived because it was only like half the season. It was only the season for it was half the season.
Yeah.
No, we picked up Blish and Gorik. No, it was pretty much the whole season because they came into play when we were finding out about the Scarab Plague.
Didn't he die? Oh, he passed in episode
6.
Yeah, episode 2 was when he was introduced because of the whole. That was the Asuran. With the
he passed in
with the other
episode
char.
5 or 6. No,
6.
4. No, episode 6 was like the last thing he played.
Because 7. Oh, I thought it was 8 episodes.
No, it was 6.
I don't remember.
So was it episode 4?
Honestly, with all the interactions that you had, like all the opportunities you had to talk to Blish and all the banter, if you just kind of hung around in the story instances, I thought he was a fairly fleshed out character. I do have a problem with Belinda, how Belinda was handled, because she was literally there for 2 instances.
Yeah.
Of the heart of the season 2 story.
It was episode 4.
Okay, Chive Lost. Yeah.
I want to say episode 4 because episode 5. We had 6 episodes. So episode 5 is when Oreen bought it.
And Chad is bringing up that like what they were kind of saying in there was along the lines of they didn't want to just make it feel like they're introducing characters. But I'm curious because I don't think they're going to roll out, especially since they are going to try to go the darker Cthulhu route, I guess, is what we're going to be referring to it as. Like, I mean, is there going to be more death in our future? And if that's the case,
go ahead.
They can't really, like, if they make it a side character, it's like, okay, that sucks for the red shirt guy. Like,
no, what I was thinking is that rather than darker, when they say darker, I think that maybe like darker tones, not necessarily just death. Like maybe darker stories. Like, I don't know, Marjorie goes into a dark place, and or Casimir's family, comes into the picture. That would be really interesting to see.
That would be a time, yeah.
Yeah, so like Ritlock's past, Bram, facing punishment for not doing his job, like that, like all of those things could have a darker tone to it. So,
well, that and kind of going into a more eldritch horror kind of thing, that can mean a whole bunch of stuff, really. Like the odds of people dying, high. Do they necessarily have to? Not really, but
yeah, the only one I think is possible for dying right now is Timey, because she's literally dying.
Is actually dying. Actually, I'm fully expecting her to just kind of transfer her consciousness into Scruffy 2.0.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say into Zoja. 2 birds, 1 stone.
She managed to like figure out Blish's notes, and like she's just gonna go ahead and upload herself into her golem.
Yeah, they need to do something with Zoja. Either like get a different voice actor or just like pass on her, because
just leave it there until like we're dealing with all all the end of the Elder Dragon, or we dealt with all the Ender Dragons. Wow, Elder Dragons.
Minecraft on the brain.
Then there's a 7th one, the Ender Dragon, and we're now in Minecraft 2, everybody. But I would laugh if like all of a sudden like there's like cinematic where it's like Destiny's Edge is there, our group, Dragon's Freedom or whatever we're called.
Dragon's Watch.
That's it. Whatever, like, the players, Javi Jorah's daughter, and all that stuff, and all of a sudden Zoja comes running out, like, rubs her eyes, like, well, guys, what did I miss? And we're like, and then we all laugh and freeze frame, going into the next.
That is so 80s. That is so painful.
I know. I kind of wanted to make it 80s at the very end, but I just would laugh if like Zoja just came out going, "What did I miss, guys?" Like,
are we gonna be holding the boombox? Like, is that where we're going with this?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm curious. Like, has Zoja kind of been written out? Which, I mean, yeah, from like what Age is kind of saying, from reality like real world standpoint, understandable, because it's hard probably to get Felicia Day.
She has been soap opera written out. She's in a coma.
Yeah. Oh, I love chat. That would explain why they add the sad boombox. It's all coming together. It's so we can all.
Next topic.
Amazing. Well, also during the article, they, talked about the New World bosses. They said they liked the idea of the Shatterer in Jahai Bluffs, but it wasn't as challenging as the three-headed Jungle Worm. They're saying how the New World boss is going to be and is supposed to bring the players together. It's not going to be on the new map from the start, though. It's going to be added later on. So it's... I mean, we kind of knew about the whole, it wasn't going to be there at the very get-go. I think they're talking about Draknar, or not Draknar, Drakkar. Yeah. At least that's what it sounds like, because that's how they were kind of referring to Drakkar before. But yeah, I'm kind of interested if that's just a throwaway line of they're supposed to bring the players together, like... are they really going to try to tout that it's going to be a little bit closer to Jungle Worm, or three-headed Jungle Worm, or probably not as... I'm not expecting as difficult.
The problem with Jungle Worm is that you require sync kills to actually beat it, which has been pretty much the major problem with that fight. Whereas if you go to something like Dragon's Stand, there are 3 lanes. But you can wait till like the other lanes progress, and then you could go help other lanes if they're having trouble. So I think I think they're getting closer to that type of style of world boss play. I don't know how this Drakkar fight will work, but like I think it's going to be more in line with that than the three-headed boss. But you never know.
And I was gonna say, and I don't know if we see at this point. I know we were been speculating on it pretty tough, so I wasn't sure if we confirmed it in the last episode. But they did say this in this article that strike missions, of course, you will be able to enter them in 2 ways. One way is if it kind of sounded like Dragon Bash, like a lot of people were speculating. You can enter solo, and it kind of just randomly groups you guys up, goes in there, or you can kind of take your more dedicated group if you wanted to in a different entrance to the fight. So
I'm looking forward to the strike missions, really, because I'm going to assume that much like the arena at Lake Morn for Dragon Bash, it's going to be easier to hop into the rando group one and faster. And then I'm hoping that the ones that are set up for organized groups, that it's going to be more rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, I mean, if this is supposed to be kind of their training wheels for raids kind of thing, like you kind of want to tier it the same way as like the rando stuff is just going to be, a certain tier of rewards. And then you take in a group, get good at it, and then you hone your teamwork for, getting into raid wings and stuff. Strike mission for Zaitan, so we actually get to fight Zaitan instead of pressing 1.
I don't think we're going backwards. But I wouldn't be against it, but I just in reality don't think we're
fractal alternate Zaitan fight.
And I'm, you know, honestly, that's how I used to. I mean, when they talked about raids, and that was one thing I said. It was like doing like in a fractal system, or just say the Asuran basically created the danger room from X-Men. Like that way, you could literally load any scenario, make it as crazy as you wanted. You know, because the mist, so something mist anomaly, in the Asuran thing. Oh, they added they uploaded a mod or something. You know, whatever, but. Yeah, if it's reality set like based in the actual overworld of the game, I just can't imagine them going backwards. Unfortunately, as much as I would like it, but yeah, I would not be against them kind of doing a uh, fractal themed, well, mist raids or something, I guess. But they also talked about how they wanted something interesting every month with this whole new. This is like kind of the most information we've gotten on the idea of what this, how this living world saga is different from what we've had. So they went on to say how their current priority is to try to have something exciting every month in the game, and for that they have the living world as well as festivals, which will occur regularly. Additionally, there's the kind of bonus events, or kind of uh, like current events that from what it sounds like, that we've been used to. Which, for example, you know, you would have to kill world bosses, so the bonus events that we've seen weekly. Uh, so, but you know, it did originally, when people heard that, it did make it sound like it was going to be like, oh, we're getting, you know, I saw a lot of people kind of taking the stance of like, oh, we're getting living world, you know, current event stuff, all that stuff every month. But you know, if you piece it out here, September we're getting our prologue. October we're getting sounds like Halloween. I mean, if they're gonna include festivals in there. November probably episode 1, or it could be multitude of bonus events. I mean, we don't know exactly. And then December we do have, you know,
I think honestly, I think that'd be really cool if they can do that, like just once a month, have something. Because that would, I mean, there is always something to do that's like not the like the rush events been good, but I feel like those should just be filling in the gaps where there's nothing, right? Whereas if you have something like a main event every month, it would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I see, that's one of the things, like, people kind of scoff at the holiday events as like content, like the people. I always see people put, you know, quotes around content when they talk about the festivals, but like they've been adding to the festivals almost yearly. Like, it's actually rare to have a festival roll around where they haven't added at least something to it.
Oh, and I mean, you know, last Winter's Day they did add a raid type event to it. And that'd be cool if they did that for Halloween, like a, you know, fun little raid thing. I think the problem is the difference between the two is, of scoffing it as content, is it is kind of content that has already existed in the. It almost feel like someone being like, well, I have nothing to do. Well, go play season 2 again. Like,
well, my issue with that though is they kind of need something repeatable that kind of acts as filler, that, you know, maybe they can add a little bit to, because otherwise we're getting really dreadfully close back to the season 2 cadence again. And we all know what they thought about the season 2 release cadence, is that it was a grueling pace. So I don't care how many teams they have working on this content, trying to put stuff out every month that is solid living story content. I'd rather, you know, give them the extra month to, you know, do stuff. So anyway, with that being said, I think my dog has to go outside, so I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that was one bit thing that people were concerned by when they said something every month, where people were like, "Oh God, are they going to get burned out again?" But I think if you piece it out as you're seeing here, it's not
Bad.
like we're saying. Yeah, it's not living world every month. It's just
Yeah,
so.
which is good. I think I like that because it's like big push for living world. Then it's like, okay, we have a festival coming up. Let's do like a few new things, like one new event type of deal. Add in a few new weapons, armor, blah blah blah, and then rewards, and then okay, and then work on the next living story. It's like, okay, that's done. Let's work on next living world, rather than living world 2 weeks, living world 2 weeks, or like a month at this point. But seems like they have like a 2 month cadence instead of 3 months, which maybe I think that's not bad.
Yeah,
If they
and
can
Chad's
pull it
even
off.
saying they're curious if they can handle it, and I think that's the thing is, while it looks and I don't want this to sound like I'm belittling the devs. Like at first, it does sound worrisome / impressive. It's like, oh, they're doing new thing every month, but like we said, we kind of explained it was you kind of have the holidays coming in, so like Age kind of said, it seems like it might be a 2 month cadence, which that I think that's at the very least, because we don't even know if episode 1's going to be coming out in November. It could be, you know, still bonus events or something else they have in mind that isn't Living World that would still push
Yeah,
it to a 3-4 month cycle. We don't know.
yeah. I personally think it's their plan to do that, like what they detailed in the example. But yeah, it's obviously that could change. Um,
Yeah, I don't imagine them going back to 2 weeks. Like that would just be bad on all parts.
It'll be fine. Let's review all the festivals: Halloween, Winter Day, Lunar New Year, Dragon Bash, Festival 4 Winds, and Super Adventure Box. Yeah, exactly. And oddly enough, those are 6 different major events, and they can slot those every 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
It works. So then we have what first? It's after Winter's Day episode, Lunar New Year episode, Dragon Bash episode, Festival 4 Winds episode, Super Adventure Box episode, Halloween. It goes in rotation. So I think that'd be actually a really, really cool rotation.
Yeah, and maybe even if they
And
do
then
try to slightly improve on the festivals. I mean, what if they added kind of like a strike mission, be like Winter's Day? I mean, it'd be kind of weird if they did it on Winter's Day. I'm just kind of using that as an example. Or heck, Halloween. Halloween's the next one up. The MAAD King has become more powerful. Randomly in one of the old existing zones, a portal will open up that you can go into the strike mission version of whatever fight they have designed.
yeah,
So they add this new technology into their old festivals or
yeah, I kind of like the idea if they stagger the strike missions, like
yeah.
Mofana said. Like I kind of like that. It's like a week or a couple days, something
Oh,
like that.
Mad King versus Palawa Joko.
Mad King versus
What?
Slayer.
What if they? I don't think they are, but what if during Halloween they threw out the World v World in the sense of you then basically you get a World v World map, or maybe it's a separate one where they kind of invigorate World v World, where kind of going off of what Chat's saying, Mad King versus Palawa. Well, there's someone else in there. What if it's you can pick what faction you want to be, Mad King, Prince, or Palawa Joko, and you can just basically fight on this version of
That'd be
maybe
kind of neat.
Halloween it up or something.
I would say like alternate. Oh man, yeah, I can't say. I would say alternate it
Nobody would
for
choose the
3 weeks
Prince.
of Halloween. Like each week, you're just on the same. You're on different teams.
Okay, so I just want to go back to what Zacharias was saying. Having to be really organized to make the content flow smoothly. I think one of the reasons we've seen such a disorganization from them over the past bit is because of the layoffs that happened. Like, I feel like the lack of communication, the kind of content lull that we hit, I think what we're about to see here for season 5 is like the culmination of everything coming back together. So I'm hoping that this is like the example of the new strategy and planning that was laid out by Mike Z in April for the roadmap there.
Fine,
Sorry
Chad. I have one that would balance it, because you're right. Probably no one would pick Prince. MAAD King, Palawa Joko, and the third faction leader.
No, don't say it. No.
What?
Don't.
He's gonna say it.
Who do you think I'm gonna say? Do you think I'm gonna actually
go
say
ahead?
it?
Just go ahead.
It's not gonna be who I think you think it is. If that's confusing. Ghostly Drewbird.
Oh, that would be perfect.
Well, everyone will go to Jubert.
I don't know.
No,
There's some Joko
I wouldn't.
fans, and I like MAAD King. I don't know. If I have a chance to beat a Ghostly Quaggan, I might go MAAD King.
I know I'd go MAAD King.
Exactly.
Actually, I would actually really like for the Halloween. Well, since we're on that topic, I would really like for them to explore the more of the MAAD King Thorn story.
Yes.
Wives and stuff like that. That was I really liked that arc, and I like it brought more lore that I actually very much interested in, because like MAAD King Thorn is like one of those characters you just like want to know more about, even though he's kind of a dick, but you know.
Oh no, I agree. It's just we haven't
Kind of.
seen it since the first 2 or 3 years. I mean, we got the additional book that added a little bit more, but I mean,
Yeah.
I would be pleasantly surprised, but I'm not planning on it. And I think we just accidentally made a World v World Halloween event. Who the heck are we?
That'd be kind of neat. Just
But yeah.
That'd be fun.
That would work easier once the alliance system is implemented, because then your alliance can choose which person to go with, and then they can lock off one of the teams.
That's why
so
I was
that
kind
they
of
can keep it
wondering.
even.
I don't know the ins and outs of the alliance system, where they're at exactly, but wouldn't it be an interesting way to slightly test maybe 1 or 2 of the features through a festival and do it that way?
Wrong. Not wrong.
And like I said, they only take they copy, I don't know, Eternal Battlegrounds, since that might be the whatever, and then add the Halloween decorations in there. But yeah, it would be a controlled place. It would just be one particular map, so they can potentially test it. But once again, don't know where they're at in that process, if they are able to test things, but maybe for next year. I kind of like this idea of doing MAAD King, Joko, and then of course Drewbird, because I think I agree that no one would probably pick Prince. But we just made a World v World Halloween event. I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, I'm actually excited to see this in the article. They talked about raids and fractals. The person requested that basically Mike said that new fractals and raids are still being developed. So it's, he didn't say raids are now strike missions or anything like that. There are specifically going to still be raids and fractals. So, though, little caveat there, I know another thing that people want with raids and fractals as well is repeatable challenge modes in raids are being discussed. Were discussed briefly, Mike said. They are being discussed internally, but there's no public information to it yet, which I don't know if I have to do a poll here, but would people want repeatable challenge modes if they polled the community?
That's not even a question.
Yeah, I didn't think I had to, but just in case.
It's like, yes.
Deo, fractals are literally repeatable challenge modes. Like that's the concept behind repeatable challenge modes is literally like the same thing that drives fractals. Like, so yes, people would want that, like some kind of repeatable thing. Yeah, that's. Could you stop?
Neko, I agree. I would like to
Sorry.
see in a raid instance if you could pick like a difficulty. I mean, I think during the after show
Yeah.
we talked
Honestly,
about
at this
an
point,
idea, but
more.
I mean, it seems like the strike throughs are going to be kind of the easy-ish alternative leading into the normal, and yeah, I think they need to finalize that hard mode with hopefully repeatable challenge modes.
Yeah. Just let the people have it. Give them what they want.
So wait, the challenge modes are
They're challenge modes.
They're not
fractals.
Are they not repeatable in raids? Like you can't just opt to do the challenge.
Yeah, there's no
reward
to them.
You don't get
okay,
like,
so literally like the challenge modes in raids is literally just for like legendaries and other stuff, right?
it's
You
no,
do
it's
it
like
once and that's it.
Yeah, it's like one time. And then you're done. And there's no real point unless you want to do the challenge mode. Like you want to do the fight again in challenge mode.
So what we're asking for is basically to have some kind of reward for kicking up the challenge on the fight.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's sensible.
What would that be though? Just like ascended stuff, or
it would need to have some kind of unique loot table, I would think, instead of just more of the same loot. Because like the easy way to do it would be to just say, you know, here have basically like you killed the boss twice, but that's boring.
Yeah. Ascended food would be cool as a reward, actually, now I think about it. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually sounds pretty nice. What am I'm thinking like at least like you're guaranteed one ascended drop, maybe ascended food. I don't know, like 2 gold. I don't know how much gold this.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how much they get from
yeah,
raid kill
it's
now,
like
but
it'd be interesting. Get some you get drops based on which raid you're doing, the Galen crystals or the magnetite shards.
I would have to say that like you are guaranteed, like for the challenge mode drop, you would have to get the boss itself, like you'd get its normal loot table kill, and then challenge mode would be like a secondary loot table on top of that.
Yeah. This was what I'm kind of saying. Okay. But like the extra stuff would be like the ascent, like you're guaranteed an ascended drop. Maybe it's like other stuff would be ascended food, extra Galen crystals or magnetite shards.
Which would the incentive there would be because if you're rolling against the normal loot table and then the CM loot table, you could get double ascended drop. So,
exactly. You know. So it's like at least that's more incentive. And then like if you don't need it, like this is kind of the problem because I feel like if raiders are doing, they may have more than enough ascended gear.
Yeah, it's a.
So like. I don't know if that's a good reward in and of itself. So,
and it's also the problem is if there's skins tied to it, once you have it, once again, it's like, are these skins going to be a 0.01% chance to drop? Like, then it's not enticing enough. But it's like once they have it, no one's going to go in. No one's going to do them.
Maybe instead you have like if you complete challenge mode, you get like a token to buy these challenge mode weapons and skins. That way, at least people can go for that over time.
Yeah.
And then that at least buys you time until like you can make more rewards in case people finish that. I'm not sure.
Wait, can't you recycle? Can't you salvage ascended anymore?
I think
but you basically salvage it for stuff that you can make other ascended with. So if you have
or just some
ascended.
gold. Yeah, but the gold that they would have to give has to be not too much, otherwise, like it can just break the economy. Like you can't give like 10 gold, right,
Yeah.
for a raid wing, but like maybe two. I was thinking two per boss. I think that's pretty good. Give us some little chests just like fractals. Oh, that's not a bad idea actually either. You now get 4 per boss on normal. Oh, really? Okay, so oh, I didn't know it was that high. Okay, I guess 10 could work, or maybe 6. I'm not sure.
I
It
mean,
would.
in
I'm
the
not sure the
end,
number, to be honest.
like it is, yeah, it's one of those numbers that they would have to play with. I guess what we're asking is, would an increase in gold be a good incentive for people to continually do it? Because they got to play with the numbers because they know how many people are completing it versus how much of it would affect the economy. So, us saying 2 gold or 10 gold,
Yeah.
we don't know the the stats behind it, unfortunately.
If it's 4 per boss on normal, then I guess 6 on challenge. Yeah, I guess 6 on challenge mode would be okay. It's 2 per boss on normal, 4 on wing 1. On first wing? Oh, really? Okay. No, I don't know anymore. I have to play with numbers. I have to think about it. It's only
Yeah.
4 when you have the double gold buff.
Well, and like I said, I think that's why we're just basically asking the question: is an increase in gold a good enough incentive for people to do it? Because, like I said, the numbers that's for them to figure out.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Oh, I didn't know about this buff. That's cool. Oh. Oh, I didn't know that at all. I've never paid attention to that.
And I guess that would be a good way because if you wanted to, you could switch it to gems and get skins. So you could. Well, I'm just saying for the fact that I know there's always gonna be skins in the gem store. It's like it makes it you're getting more gold from doing
yeah.
the raid, so you could theoretically
Yeah.
get that stuff
You
in
got a
game
point.
more so for playing at a better level.
Yeah, that's true. You got a point.
But
yeah, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of
options. And I would like to see more skins in raids and stuff. Though I wouldn't like to see all the ones that people have suggested because they still do have to make their money as well.
Yeah.
I just more skins in game in a general sense.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're kind of
drifting.
Yeah, sticking to this one. But there was another article by PCGamesN, which there's like actually a couple we'll be going through. But this one talking about kind of titled talking about PvP raids, world restructuring, all that stuff. But some interesting stuff. They talked about strike missions here as well. Kind of reiterating what we talked about earlier in previous episodes of kind of bridging a gap to raiding. As they quoted, people thinking that oh, we have the group that raids. Different avenues of thinking. We have the group that raids, and we also have the group that says raids are either stigmatized, too difficult. Also, there's jerks in there who are elitist. But they want to kind of show, bridge the gap. Maybe this is where you find your 10 people that are a solid group that you start doing group content with. But so I'm definitely interested to see how strike missions will do, and will we see an uptick? Well, I guess on their end, we'll never really see it, but an uptick in more people raiding due to strike missions maybe bridging that gap. But
yeah, yet to be seen type of deal. Okay.
I like the idea of strike missions being the gap to close close it, but I have to see how they're implemented to see how well it'll be for setting that up.
mm-hmm. Interesting. Legendary chat saying legendary strike mission armor.
I doubt that will happen.
But they also went on to talk about they asked if there was any plans for a 2v2 map available outside of custom games, and they replied saying they are looking at doing mini seasons between the conquest seasons where they can do some more experimentation. The thing that they need to be a little more cautious of is that Guild Wars 1 had 4 or 5 different PvP game modes, which basically fragmented the player base. With Conquest, the goal was to always have one thing that if you wanted to be the best at PvP, this is what you went and did. As opposed to, well, now there's actually 2 things that are going on. So I'm curious of your guys' thoughts, because I know I've taken the stance in previous ones of like, I'd like to see more game types, capture the flag, attack and defense type things. And
well, I know Z even references League of Legends prior to that, and yes. Age, and I know that, RIP Dominion, right, Age?
Yeah.
They actually killed an entire game mode in League of Legends because it was splitting they could not afford, because the fraction.
There's
what? It was like less than 5% of the player base was playing it.
Yeah.
So,
what's that map there?
Twisted Tree Line.
Yeah.
That's a 3v3 map.
Is that still?
It's still supported. It still has a ranked queue, actually.
Okay. Well, yeah, we have that. We have ARAM, and we have regular 5v5 mode. So
it's one of those things where I like the idea of having these little mini queues in between Conquest ranked seasons for them to, test stuff out, for them to showcase. Like, honestly, if they throw another Stronghold map or 2 in, they could do a Stronghold ranked queue in between Conquest seasons, and maybe people would actually remember that Stronghold exists. But I think Stronghold needs some work on top of that. But
yeah, I would like to see it not just be about Conquest, like in the sense of, sure, like let that be your season thing, but like even chat was or maybe they were still talking about the raid stuff, but it's just I don't know if I like kind of personally agree with it, because it's great that was their mentality going in, but that was also when they were wanting to be an esport and pushing it very hard, which then now they've kind of taken the stance of, well, if the community makes tournaments and big events, like, we're not going to try to push the esport thing as heavily. I think at this point you kind of have to give the tools or give the different game modes to the people and see what pulls out of it, because I don't know, I would love to see a player made capture the flag tournament, or player made attack defense, a player made Stronghold, which is what we have currently, death match, which I'd like to see more maps as well, but I don't know.
So it kind of like what Overwatch did with like unlocking their workshops, so it gave the people the tools to like make different modes and things like that.
Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to be an official thing, but I guess that's also what the person's saying is outside of custom games, which, and maybe like they're saying, maybe that's where they could even get some ideas, like, oh, people are really gravitating towards the Stronghold tournaments that someone's holding. Well, maybe during the off season of Conquest, we do a little Stronghold tournament, or something along those lines. Feel like the PvP community is getting too small for these things. It is at its current state, but I think that is because it is in my opinion, a one-trick pony. It only does Conquest.
Well,
No, I think in my
I
opinion,
disagree
it's
with
there's yeah, no, it's because the it's just balance has been and support for tournaments has been not that great.
Well,
So
and
when you
also,
promise,
oh,
Your
go ahead.
mic kind of
Sorry.
went dead there, or you're really low, Jim.
I'm probably really low. Sorry. Go ahead, Age. Let me fix this.
I was saying it's like if your balance is terrible for 6 months and like it's constantly a factor every time, and then you say all the things that you want to put into the game come in 6 to 8 months later, that's a long wait for PvP players. So it's like either you continue to play and are being patiently waiting, or you leave for another PvP game.
But I think you see that with PvP in WoW and stuff. It's a slow
I
turn.
think when I
That's
say
just an
PvP
MM.
game,
That's
I
a
don't. I think, and this is kind of the interesting bit because combat is so good in Guild Wars 2. It's like you people want to play and experience combat and be skillful in the game. But if the support isn't there for that, then they just go to other PvP centric games, not necessarily WoW, but like like League of Legends, Overwatch, like those types of PvP centric games rather than that. Because, and I understand it's an MMO, right? PvP isn't going to be like the echelon of the game, but at the same time, it needs the support to keep the community thriving.
That, and I mean, I agree with Age in that, not necessarily balance needs to be faster, but tamping down on things that are running away needs to be faster. Like, I remember when Scourge hit SPVP in the middle of ranked season, and I just stopped wanting to play. I think half the reason I haven't gone back into ranked in Guild Wars 2 for Zero to Hero is because Mirage has existed anymore. So that's part of it. Like, I think their hot fix stuff needs to be faster, like to respond to broken stuff. But I'll also say it again, because I've said it so very many times, PvP needs unique rewards. You need something that is solely available in SPVP and nowhere else. They keep adding these things that are available in both WDW and SPVP. And it's infinitely easier to get these things in WDW because you just follow a tag and just kind of press buttons. And then you just kind of get stuff. There's no, like, okay, so you can get a title if you're one of the top 250 players. That's it. Like, that's the only unique reward out of SPVP right now. So it needs some, and I'm saying this primarily as breadcrumbs. Like, you need to get new blood into the SPVP scene, and then they also need to, be faster at tamping down on people that are abusing the ranked system, because I still haven't heard anything about anything going on with like the win trading up at the upper echelons of the PvP. I mean, they did the dishonor bans on people for the monthly tournament a bit ago, but like, and I honestly don't know if they have the people to devote to it. So I don't know if that's something that can be. No, fade to a Mirage, Zephyriox. I see victory fade to.
Well, and I like Chat's idea of basically almost, if it's possible, like using the custom arenas, like almost like Halo 3 Forge mode. Like, oh my, like remember when we used to try to do events like I used to try to make like games in those custom arenas.
Yeah, God, and then they took away the Skyhammer cannon.
Ugh, it was so tough trying to make a game revolving around the conquest maps.
Well, honestly, it's funny because Spirit Watch already shows us that we can do capture the flag just on top of conquest maps. They just need to have a different orb spawning point. And you don't even have to call it the orb. You can have it be, random tech doodad at Skyhammer, but you have to get the orb, you have to get the MacGuffin to a point, and you get different additional points based on, who owns that point at the time. So we kind of already have capture the flag there.
Yeah, and they do have maps where they could have multiple uses for them. It's just, and that's why I kind of hope they open up some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think capture the flag will be like capture the flag in any of the games.
Spirit Watch isn't a terrible. I don't like Spirit Watch, but that's because I think the layout's a little bunk. But any of the other maps, I think, are fine for it. Just, you'd have to find a good place to spawn the orb, so to speak.
Or if they go a unique way, like I would say kudos to, I don't get to say this a lot, but kudos to SWOTOR, Hutball. I mean, that was probably one of the better ways to basically do a capture the flag system.
I'll admit I never got that far in Old Republic.
It was basically a PvP map where it came down to there was only one ball, which would be the case, but you could throw it to other players and basically score. It was basically scoring. But it was basically capture flag with one flag, which I've seen that kind of a game mode before in other shooters. But, if they could do something like that, I mean, people have made, was it a Surin ball? What if they made that a legit thing that you could?
But yeah, I mean, it's I going back to the original point of them not wanting to fracture the player base. Like right now, especially since the player base for SPDB and Guild Wars 2 is small, I get them not wanting to create multiple different queues. Like ranked and unranked is already probably far enough for Conquest. But doing this stuff in between ranked seasons for Conquest, I'm game.
And I see chats saying they wish it was just easier to kind of queue up for Keg Brawl. Honestly, that's one we've talked about in the past. Like, I wish custom arenas were a one-time purchase, and they would have modules or something like that, where like you buy the Keg Brawl module so you can play with your friends. Sanctum Sprint, basically all the little activity things that you could add to your specific one that you own. That way they could, and they had the Dragon Bash thing when it rolled back around. It's a limited time map that you can get for your custom arena. Like, I wish they would have went that route. Cause oh my God, if you could have done Sanctum Sprint, I know originally when that came out, if you could get your friends in there, I would love to have, put in, like having like drunken Mario Kart nights, of course, if you're of age. But like basically do that with Sanctum Sprint. Like, I know I've talked about this in the past, but I wish that would have been the route that they would have taken for custom arenas instead of the upkeep, which I know a lot of people say it's like if you play PvP enough, you don't really have to worry about the upkeep. It's kind of, you get plenty of stuff to compensate for it, but I don't know. For what we were always using it for, it was like we had to methodically plan. But do you guys want to talk about this? The little bit of the Swiss tournament? Want to go check on those dogs?
Yeah, go ahead. Check on your cooldowns. We'll be fine. So Swiss tournaments. I mean, I really have no other comment on them other than yay.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like,
I think it's just one of those features that people are waiting for. So we'll see how well it works out.
So, Mr. Swiss tournaments are for all of the teams that are in the tournament, you play against every other team, sometimes multiple times, and you are given a score based on win-loss. And it's whoever has the highest score at the end that wins. So there's no elimination. It's just an accrual of points.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, the problem I have with that, Mofongo, is I didn't know what a Swiss tournament was either until the 2 weeks ago when I was on the show and we were talking about it, and I Googled it. And it popped up even in like the Google definition box at the very top off of a link from Wikipedia. So I hate to say Google it, but like when we have the sum total of human knowledge in our pockets, what is a Swiss tournament seems like a pretty easy question to ask.
Yeah.
Well, better, honestly, it's just better in PvP in general because you still get to play. Like even if you're playing like crap, like even if your team is doing terrible, you still get to keep playing. So
yeah, right now with automated tournaments, you just, if you lose, you're out.
Yeah. And the whole point is with PvP, you get better with repetition. Any PvP game, the more you play, and obviously along with, paying attention and trying to, find out your mistakes, you are going to get better. With the current elimination, like is it single elimination? Or is it double elimination, Age?
For auto?
The current ATs.
I think it's just one and you're done. I think
okay, so with the current style, you play a game, you lose, you're out. So with the Swiss tournament, you keep playing, and it's just one of those things where if you're playing against people better than you, you kind of look at what they're doing, try and incorporate that into your own gameplay, and hopefully get better. So it gives you more time to play as a team.
Yeah, you play
it's
around.
Less demoralizing.
Yeah, you play against those people with the same points as you. Ideally, you don't play the same team twice, type of deal. But it could be fun.
Well, Mofongo, the queues depend entirely on the number of people in the tournament. Like the queue times are almost exclusively affected by population. So the more people you have playing, the better. And hopefully, with more tournament setups, we'll get more people playing because you're not just going to get booted after one round for losing. Or at least I would hope that's the idea behind it, but it's just me kind of throwing out random ideas. Welcome back, Dan.
Thank you. Any other thoughts on the Swiss tournament? I mean,
hope it works out.
Yeah, curious since they did say the beta will be soon. So,
TM.
Yeah. And another question came up with the basically the idea of, since this isn't an expansion purchase or anything like that, are they are they doing away with expansions and all that stuff? And basically they responded, I think pretty similar to what we said last week, through the response of, at this point with the stuff that they want to release, the quality of life improvements, the story that they're and how they're doing it is the best way to do it. Now they did go on to say, obviously everyone at the studio knows that there's a demand for an expansion, so it's not like they're ruling it out. Which, I
am so incredibly exasperated with this clamoring for an expansion anymore. It's not necessary. Expansions just aren't necessary anymore.
Nope.
I
agree.
These giant blocks of content, at this point, if you release a whole block of content, you have to hold back.
Yeah.
Because
you have
to have a content drought if you want an expansion, because they have to save all of the stuff they've designed to release it with the expansion instead of just releasing it when it's done.
Yeah. But the only issue is that I can actually compare it to loot boxes. I don't think loot boxes are necessary, but as long as people buy them.
True, and I think that's the most important thing. If, however they're thinking, and I've said this multiple times, I truly think those bundle things that we'll be talking about later and were in the previous weeks, that's how they're going to try to counteract the expansion
the supply
stuff.
drops.
Yeah, but I think that's how they're going to counteract it. if they can make enough money off of that, they're not going to need to do expansions. It's just in the sense of, and I know that some people say, well, it builds up hype and all that stuff. It's like temporary hype that an expansion has never really withholding the stuff and making it an expansion has never saved an MMO of like, oh, it brought all these people in to do it. It's been the content in it, and if they can do that, which is I think was what chat was saying, the content needs to be there, which I totally agree. If that's there, then it'll bring people in regardless.
I think expansions bring a bunch of people in, but the quality of the game is why people stay. So
yes, exactly.
Being able to get people to stay is kind of always the hard part with an MMO. So like when you do like a sale, when you do sales or do like popular things like WoW Classic type of promotion.
I have a counter argument for this. Is like, okay, Path of Fire released, and we had to go through the story there. And then imagine if nothing after Path of Fire released came out all the way up until the date of the final episode of Season 4. And then all of Season 4 came out. All the maps, all the skins, all the story, all the raids, like that. Like that. Season 4 is an expansion. Yeah, sure, it all happens still in the same area as Path of Fire. We're not going to a new zone or anything. But Season 4 was an expansion's worth of content.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's maps, it's gear, it's story, it's skins, it's mounts, because we got the roller beetle, the Warclaw would have come out with it. So don't forget that, WW and PvP content also count there, because you would have gotten all the reward tracks for WW and PvP. Like there's no reason for an expansion in Guild Wars 2 anymore with the season system. It's just release the chapter when it's done, and then we just roll through. Like, it's just not worth it anymore. Well, see, that's the thing, mister. Why does an expansion have to implement a new design into a game? Why does an expansion have to bring new elite specs? It doesn't. Like,
and actually, technically, Season 3 did, because they introduced gliding to the rest of Tyria. Because before it was just a hot thing. And then what was it? The Shatterer fight, they re-implemented it and made it so it was cross. So, but that's the thing. People are saying it missed out on expansion like features, which I think they did for some. Oh, and yeah, chat's saying Season 3 gives code as warmth. So they do add new mechanics and stuff. It's not,
disappointingly that it only lasted for one map.
Yeah. Hopefully it comes back. We're kind of going to that territory, but
not wrong.
There's been quality of life updates too that have been really good.
Because I was gonna say, did WoW's expansions every time have a new class, which would be a new elite spec? I mean,
let's see here. Burning Crusade introduced.
They would always up the skills because they would up the levels, but
it's just a new class, and then
it wasn't. Burning Crusade didn't add a new class. Wrath added Death Knights. Cataclysm added Pandas and Monk. No,
did they add new
Cataclysm.
skills?
No, that was Pandaria.
They would add new skills, but I don't. Yeah, I would not equal that to an elite spec.
Okay.
Only because
but they would add they would add 3 new skills to a class.
That's what I was thinking, right? Versus us, where we just legit add essentially an entirely new class. Well, half a class, I guess, because the base class would count for half, but
But I know a lot of people are hung up on the elite skills thing. I still am on the side of the game is not ready for new elite specs. I mean,
it's not.
Maybe your particular game mode feels good, but once again, we're going back to they have to also look at PvP and War v World, which they don't want another Scourge effect or something where it just
I get I get why people want like a new elite spec because they want like a game changing pace, but like you have to keep all of that the rest in mind as well.
Well, that and like seasons have added multiple new masteries, so there's another large scale thing that affects gameplay, right? Just because a season hasn't added an elite spec doesn't mean a season can't also count as an expansion.
And
Heck,
also,
as
they
it
do go on to
stands,
say in that thing, because they do say expansion tier features. Now, of course, it doesn't include elite specs, but I am interested that they did include into the list Cooking 500, because I was like, I even said when they announced it, and I was like, wow, they're doing it right before the announcement. That really feels like an expansion feature that you would see in other games, which I think goes to show why this method is superior is they don't have to withhold a feature to sell you the box. They can literally just put it out when it is ready and able. And they're talking about they're going to have built-in gear templates, which we've seen. And I think what's important here is they also said, things that we wouldn't roll out, but that we're not talking about today would be like another mount, another elite specialization. It's interesting they only. I wonder if that's another elite specialization for each, because otherwise that'd be. But those types of things they're not rolling out, but those are things that traditionally have waited until a box product is ready. But instead, they're saying, here are the things that we're doing. Here's what we're releasing right now. Here's what's next. So I think this is what's going to be the toughest thing for everyone is we're going to have to look at all of this in retrospective, like at the very end, because they want to keep that stuff to surprise people like they have been doing in Living Story or, Living Story updates. But that is that weird thing of you don't really do that in an expansion. They would say, we're having 9 new elite specs. We're having cooking 500. We're having templates. We're having, jewel crafting, more
new
mounts.
legendaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
they.
wonder if, I'm just
So,
wondering if the the way they're trying to go is that they're trying to bring in new players in a different avenue rather than expansions, and then just releasing content frequently with expansion features, moving story, and all the updates that are required for PP, blah 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 blah. I wonder if that's the avenue they're trying to go for rather than just expansion like features, and if deemed necessary, do the expansions type of deal. Because that's what seems to me the route that they're going. Because like and I've said this before with the Icebrood Saga event, that was to get new players in. That was to get people interested, while still having the players that they have in now understand what the story is about. It wasn't necessarily entirely just for the current player base. So I'm wondering if that's the avenue that they're trying to take now with content down the road.
I mean,
Like
the idea of having, we were talking about, the whole presentation at PAX is just like, yeah, they're doing this to bring eyes on it. And it's like, okay, a few people try it out. And then, like you're saying, here's a new feature. Oh, okay. And here's something new. I'm not used to playing a game that releases content this often. Here's something new. And it's just, because honestly, Guild Wars 2 as an MMO, in my experience, releases more content on a yearly basis than any other MMO I've ever played.
I will reserve until I see a list, because I know people will be like, well, this does this, and that's why it's superior. But
that's why I said
does,
in my experience.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah, I think it was one of those MMOs that it's just like, I think who was it? I think it was T-Bot said it. I think T-Bot said that Guild Wars 2 was ahead of its time in terms of its systems and everything, and just like even if this game released actually it was T-Bot. He said even if this game released now, it would still be really good just because of the combat alone.
If they do just release if we're in this alternate reality where they would release it today, could they release it on a better engine?
Well, yeah, okay. Well,
That's my only like.
I'd still say it's pretty
just-
good.
I just wish they'd update to actually handle DX12 natively
Yes.
without having to have an update from somebody on Reddit.
I don't know what the issue is with updating to 12 would be though.
I don't know either.
There must be a reason.
I would think.
They
Yeah.
can't put in the gem store. That's the reason, right? Angry internet.
That's not a good transition. We're not there yet.
Oh.
But it's yeah, I don't know. But I want to see what features that they put in down for this season, because
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big test is at the end, what's going to be the list, and is that going to be comparable to an expansion?
I guess so, yeah.
Because, yeah, we're in this, once again, with Guild Wars 2, and it's a breath of fresh air, but also one of those, like tough things is, like, it is trying something new. It is trying to give us expansion-like content, which I don't think any MMO has tried to do without doing an expansion. But they also do have to, and I don't want to say this in a negative way, but string you, like, keep you wanting to play, so they don't want to tell you everything.
Yeah. I think maybe I can't think of any other MMO that releases constant living like constant story, main story. I don't know about ESO. Like ESO releases something every 3 months, you said, or something?
Well, ESO does, but it kind of cycles. They do like story, then dungeon DLC, then I think another story.
Star Trek Online. Boom.
So they do like a living story, which would be like a zone and a main story, and then they would just do one that's like, here's just 2 dungeons, and then with like a hard mode and whatnot, and this is on top of their like expansion chapter type thing that they call. But,
yeah. Okay.
But so it's they release it consistently on a deliberate schedule, but yeah, I would still say it's farther apart than how often we get Guild Wars 2's, but yeah, chat saying, once again, maybe we should do a Star Trek Online podcast, because I think every time we bring something up, everybody says Star Trek Online. Like, that might be the hidden gem.
Wouldn't one of us have to play Star Trek Online first?
Nah.
I don't know. I just
Talking Trek. What? Sorry.
Next, 'cause, like we're running on.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're at 5:30 already, so we should probably
Okay.
move on to next.
We're still on the second point, so yeah.
Well, a lot of it does overlap too. Like,
I know.
that's why I'm trying to piece through this stuff. Was like some of it overlapped with the stuff we were already talking about, but they kind of went on to talk about communicate. They want to communicate more with players, even though it doesn't look like they don't have to respond for them to be out seeing what people are talking about. I mean,
Well, they respond with content, I assume.
yes, but they're not responding on like the forums or Reddit necessarily. They like they say they're lurking on all the forums and on Reddit, and they're also in game. Whew, good thing they're not here. Ugh.
I do want to say, however, that with them trying to communicate more, it also means that we as a player base need to respond without being gibbering balls of rage. Because I'm not saying that this is anybody here or anybody in chat, but there are people on the internet who demand the moon. This is an analogy my wife uses for some of her clients. It's like they demand the moon, but when they are given the moon, it's the wrong moon. So...
Oh, I was really hoping it would be like, that's no moon. That's a Death Star.
Honestly, if ArenaNet responded with, here's a Death Star, it's like, it's a moon. that can also blow up other moons. So that would be better than just a regular moon instead of just being the wrong moon. But
I love Star Trek.
like we've all seen like people getting
hold
death.
on. Wait a minute. No, we can't let that slide.
He did just do that.
No,
I'm
let
going
that
to let
slide.
it go. No, we're letting it go. We're not paying attention to Deo.
Oh.
And you know, Chad is saying like, why don't they just respond with, you know, their voice, someone's voice is being heard? I mean, that would just.
Well, your voice has been heard. Look at every other major game publisher. Like, look at EA with Battlefront 2. Look at 2K with all of the
EA is
games.
not a good standard.
Well, yeah. Well, hang on a second.
I was like, you kind of came out with the first doozy.
Let me finish my point here.
Okay.
They're like, we hear your concerns and we are working on them, because they'll literally, like, that's all they'll say. So saying your voice has been heard has already been ruined by other publishing companies, by other game companies, as a nothing statement, as a useless, empty placation to get the fan base to shut up. So yeah, they could say that our voices have been heard, but yeah, we hear you. Ain't nobody gonna believe it because it's already been ruined by other people. And you're right, Carnifex. It is a small portion of the internet, but unless you constantly tell people that this is not okay, people will think that the lack of backlash. Well, that's the problem, Mister. Is they can't turn around on a dime and hand us stuff. Like, they can't do that. And then Mithrin says show don't
tell. Talking about EA, yeah. I think in terms of EA analogy, I think that's what they're talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, saying it. Well, okay. So there's a bunch of points in chat that's bringing up. Okay, so Carnifex is talking about the small portion of the internet is the gibbering balls of rage. Yes, but we still have to tell those people it's not okay, and we have to do it loudly, because if that behavior isn't opposed, those gibbering balls of rage will think that, oh, well, I'm not getting yelled at anymore, so clearly I'm right. And then other people will see that they're not getting yelled at anymore and think that maybe they are right. So we have to keep saying, no, you can't send death threats to a developer's family, because that's not okay. Then this whole we hear you saying isn't enough. You have to prove it, show, don't tell. A game company can't turn on a dime like the opinion of the internet can. Hearing something come in, processing it, designing it, implementing it, releasing it, that's what they have to do. All of us over here, we just have to consume the content and form an opinion.
I mean, chat, to answer your responses there of build templates are coming, we see nothing of them. Literally look in your game right now. The changes to the skill trees over the years, like they even said when they were releasing legendary runes and sigils, this is the last thing we needed before we could do build templates. It's all these small pieces. Swiss Tournament, well, we just talked about, they're gonna do a beta for it. Like, I mean,
the build templates, they even showed like the swapping.
They showed like the animation thing of it.
For it. Swiss tournaments, there's not much to show, honestly. It's literally automated tournaments, but Swiss style. Alliances, that's one I'll give you. But
I mean, alliance system, they've been trying to talk about it when they can, but I wish there was more communication on that. I won't lie on that. But
Mister, when we were talking about right after the day after the presentation, when we were talking about the build templates, UI is going to be the last thing that's developed. Everything that they were doing probably was chat commands being typed in to do the swapping.
Yeah.
Like, UI is the last thing to get designed with something like this. No, but they take a year and still don't bring it. That's what I'm talking about. They can't turn on a dime. The WW Alliance system is a full-on deep code organization level change. I am not surprised in any way, shape, or form that the Alliance system has taken as long as it has.
Yeah. I deal with a lot of systems at work, and it's just like the first thing that I'm going to see is documentation, and that's not something that a player is going to see, for example. So it's like documentation how a system's going to work first, and then you have to implement said system, and you have to test said system, and then if there's any front end work that needs to be done, it's going to be like bare bones minimum type of deal, and there's going to be iterations of changes on that UI because like they notice some things, or halfway through the development, oh, we missed like XYZ, or like we don't need this anymore. So there's going to be a lot of iteration on that. I think they're I think in terms of that, they're taking kind of like the Blizzard route. And when it's like almost done, they'll show you something. So in that respect, I kind of get it. But in terms of waiting a year for alliances, I feel like they should like have a little blurb saying, "Hey, we're here," and that's it. Like that I would like be happy with, because at least letting us know that you're still working on it and you haven't like not like put on the side for something else that's what people's fears are, I feel like. So yeah, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're almost done. I'm saying that they should give progress. If you are an investor in a company and you order a product and it's going to be come in 6 months, you're obviously going to want to see like in 2 months that you're going to follow up and say, hey, what's the progress on my project? Like what, like I'm investing in this, like let me know how it is. I'm not saying we're technically investors.
I was just gonna say
I caught myself there. So it's like we're not necessarily shelling out money in terms of like constantly, but we are invested in the game mode itself and what we want from it. So we would like to see progress on that. So I think that's what the community needs in terms of communication. They need to know if something is taking a long time to make, then they would like to know the progress of it so that they know it's still coming, they know it's still being worked on, and so they should still feel that they should invest in this mode knowing that the feature that they're looking forward to is coming. That I think is the issue in terms of the communication between ArenaNet to the community. I think Malfanis got it right when in the community to ArenaNet, there's like backlash for things that are negative and don't like. And I'll always bring up the suspension of legendary weapons in order to fix hot. That was something that a lot of people didn't like. It's like, oh, well, I paid for this expansion, I should get my thing right away. You know, it's like, I hear you, I understand you, but like, come on, like, look at it this way. They're fixing hot, and hot's great now, actually. Like, and we got all our legendaries, so
it happened.
All right, I'm gonna get off.
I would say, for sake of time, I'm just gonna push us along because this. I know we could spend eons here. It's. In the end, I think we're all still. We would love to always see more communication, but once again, as we've always said, it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
But they go on in the article to talk about the random content team, and before they talked about how they were kind of designed for smaller projects that will lead into like one-off storylines or kind of smaller initiatives. They can't, apparently they came up with like cool little like things like the roller beetle racing, and like other like small little fun one-off things that kind of blew up to pretty cool stuff. But apparently now they're trying to give them some of the tools that will allow them to do things basically close to the scale of the other teams, which I'm assuming is referring to kind of like the living world and stuff like that. Yeah. And they talk about how they understand living world, as they refer to it, as their bread and butter. Like they are fully aware of that, but they also want to do other things and have more cohesion to the overall arc that they're trying to tell. So hopefully things will be better branded, which we don't have to worry about that, right? Because we don't. No.
Yeah, I don't want to be branded.
Yeah, you. Oh, come on, bring that event back. Come on, where we can brand everybody in a zone.
Well, okay. Just to respond to Mithrin, Everybody else wants S1. Like, I think people.
Well,
have
actually,
arena once.
to respond to Mithrin, they do talk about that,
That's the next
about
section,
making
sorry.
season 1 available. I mean, we can jump around, but
Okay.
they do talk about making season 1 available, and that is great that you want it. I do too. It'd be great. But like they say, untangling that web is a little bit harder than just saying, and now the content is active.
That's
Of course, you have to install the switch before you can flip the switch, right?
That's a really hard piece of content to bring back, just because, not necessarily because of the instances, but mostly because of the events that happen. Like, there are a lot of group related events, like
The
Scarlet.
Siege of Lion's Arch.
Yeah, the Siege of Lion's Arch is like the best example I could give, because like that is legit Lion's Arch in flames, and there's like a ton of Scarlet's alliances coming in and assaulting different areas of Lion's Arch, um, and then there are events that tie into the marionettes and all that stuff. It takes a lot of thinking and figuring out how to bring it back in terms of a single player experience, because most like right now, Living Story plays as a single player experience. You could bring it in friends, sure, but like it plays mostly as a single player experience.
And trust me, I'm right there with you, chat. Like I that was the one I was looking forward to the most in Guild Wars 1 was the Guild Wars Beyond part of it was the Nightfall version, of course, because Abaddon and all that stuff, and which I know that would have probably led into the Joko and all that stuff.
Wait,
him rising
Deo,
up.
you're interested in Abaddon?
Well, apparently Arena doesn't listen to us, because I've been touting that for 340 episodes.
You got in season 4 at the end a little bit,
and I got a helmet in the gem store and a skin set that costed 2 tickets. They knew. Anyway, but it is one of those things of, unfortunately, reality. And trust me, I would love season 1 to come back. It was some of the most fun I've had running around in those zones and stuff like that. But how are they going to implement it back? Is that going to confuse the player base? Is it going to be a separate instance that they can map into? Is it going to be connected to the guild system? Can guilds activate these things? Can and that's just that's just how to implement it, let alone, like we're saying, the code behind it. But
it'd be cool if it was like an event, like just like I don't know, the mist seep into Tyria and it just like turns back time a little bit in different areas. That'd be kind of neat, and then people could experience that. That would be like a plausible way for people to experience the events and do the story.
I mean, Jim, you really want to go down this rabbit hole?
No, we're not going to go down this rabbit hole because we still have more stuff to talk about. We should move on to the next point.
Yeah, like fractal risk, like Mithrin said.
Yeah, and we talked about that in the past, is like leading into like using that story, like we saw with the Aetherblade, that Aetherblade char, and I always forget the name. It was one of the char areas that was talking about in X amount of days something's going to happen, which I don't think anything happened, but it would have been cool since we had those rift anomaly things going on. Where what if something was like, maybe for the next hour this map changed, which if they did have the old code, it's like for the next hour Marionette is now, it's like the old version of that, and the Marionette fight is in was it Lornar's Pass?
Yeah, I want to say Lornar's, but like, do you want just the story bits, or do you want the event bits as well?
That's where
that's kind of like the story bits I can see, but
the story bits were far and few in between, like instance space for season 1.
Yeah, but the event bits would really be the tricky part.
Actually, they could redo the Marionette fight as like they could reconfigure that as like a strike team thing.
Yeah. But going back to kind of the team stuff, it was kind of interesting because they were also asked about the 4 teams, and it was interesting that they did say at the moment the 3 teams we've talked about are prologue, episode 1, and episode 2. There's a 4th team that they haven't talked about that are working on something. Wonder what it could be.
I think it's Halloween.
Or bringing Abaddon back. That should be the 3rd faction we talked about. Abaddon. I'll be there. I'll be alone, but I'll be there. Anyway.
Came back to it. You're not allowed to do that.
Anyway. Meetoberfest. Hey, that'd be an interesting way to. That would be interesting if like different, like they did different cultural festivals at the same time. Like it'd all be like kind of around the Halloween thing, but that would be more human based. But if you went to the Char area, it'd be like Meetoberfest. If
I had a side note for that. So for cooking 500, you have to go to like the Char area where there's like the cooking. I forgot his name already, but like there's a guy who's like prepping cows, right? I'm like, I wonder how vegetarians and vegans feel about this. It's like, I was just side note. Anyway,
no, they're called Silvari.
Anyway, moving
on. But
yeah, I think it might be Halloween if they add like an extra story instance because I really want that. Or maybe they'll add they're working on like an extra feature for Halloween or maybe updating the labyrinth because I remember that was an issue that they kind of like hot fixed in a way. But there's a lot of things that they could be doing, but I think it's more focused around Halloween. But
yeah. I guess we can kind of lump these together because this was kind of like the one takeaway line I know people were picking up on was, well, first off, is there room for story difficulty in raids and other high-end content, which I know chat was talking about before. They did reply saying there's a constant constant tug, do they go build new raids for the raid group, or do they pull somebody to go make the old raids easier? I got apparently the Bastion of the Pentient is one of the ones that, Penitent. Wow, is one of the ones they apparently get a lot of the comments on. So I'm kind of curious if it was just like kind of like a little bit of a throwaway. I don't want to say a throwaway line, but like compared to all the stuff we were talking about earlier, that they are looking at still developing raids. That is going to be the tough thing: is will they go back? But Pentium 3,
go back.
All about the Pentiums, baby. Sorry,
I don't need that stuck in my head.
Yeah. Do they want to go back to like fixing older raids, or do you mean build new raids?
Well, I think what they're talking about is sending one person from the raid team back to old raids to make a story mode. To do something that's like a solo or 5-man instance that is a toned down version, so people can what we've talked about countless times is no rewards, but you get to find out what the hell's going on.
Oh yeah.
And they mentioned Bastion of the Penitent because that is the culmination of Saul D'Alessio's story.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a big deal. But
yeah, that was I can see how it is from Guild Wars 1 lore.
It was a bit of a sting, but
yeah.
But I kind of get the idea of why they don't want to send someone back, because they're working on new raids, which again, I kind of sit here and I'm kind of baffled by the fact that people thought that they weren't working on new raids.
I would say send one experienced person back and add someone to the raid team that can ramp up to help build the new raids. That would be my thought process, but I don't know if they could do something like that.
My
It's like they
biggest
need
question
to.
at this point is chat and anybody listening right now. Every time we talk about they have to send someone back, do you just keep getting the scene from Lost in your head going, "We have to go back"? Like,
Now I do.
No, all I can hear is Doc Brown.
ooh, that too. And if you guys do that, that's how you should announce it. Reenact that scene and go, "We need to go back to old raids," and it's like, sorry. Anyway,
Honestly, if they give me a DeLorean mount as a Jackal, I'll be happy because you could do the blink forward and it'll leave the tire marks.
yes. Anyway, no, that's gonna be the achievement mount skin for the destruction derby thing we saw earlier as teased. You get a DeLorean. That's not. Just, anyway, but I think the biggest thing that kind of people were picking out about this was when they were asked about Living Story Season 4 being too easy. And they said the challenge is that the skill disparity between average players and hardcore players is extreme. And they went on to say that they're talking about 10 times damage output. So you can't necessarily put a DPS check that the average player is going to be able to overcome without making the fight entirely trivialized for the hardcore. But we have some tricks up their sleeve that they're going to be trying. So
I understand this. It makes sense. Like it's story. People are playing for the story, not to just be hammered down like for 10 hours at a boss. But
I don't remember Season 4 feeling particularly easier either.
I think season 2 was actually harder than anything else.
I think season 2 was harder because I think that was the one where they made the shift to the conditions and all that stuff. Like there was a lot of changes in between where it could hit you pretty hard when you first hopped in, and I think they were saying, I remember back then, that they were gonna make it a step up type thing. So
I think it was fun. I think the difference for season 4 is just they added more mechanics. So people kind of had to learn things. I don't know if that makes it necessarily harder. I guess it's just because I rated. It's like I'll just look at actually not even because I rated, just because I pick up mechanics fairly quickly. It's just it seems like okay, when this person they're doing this animation, they're going to do this, or like this circle is very bad to stand in versus this circle, which is like I'll take a hit, but like I should be okay. So I wonder if people are having trouble with that. And then we talk about the damage numbers, and I've run a Marauder Berserker build on my Thief, which is I play all my story on, and it usually gets me through okay. And I usually swap weapons if I think fights are going to take a certain route. But other than that, I really haven't had problems with any of those story events. I think episode 5, when we were fighting Krakatorik, there was a lot of mobs and you had to kill crystals and things like that. I wonder if people had trouble with that. I don't know, but
I suppose I get Mafonga's point is that there was a lot of transforms in this season. I can understand that.
yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because like I don't know how much damage the average player is doing, so maybe that plays into it.
10 times less than you age.
That's really low. That's like 2k DPS or less, like under 2k, which is really not that good. They're running And I get it, because like if you take a lot of damage, maybe you're not as out of the bad. It's hard to get out of the bad, or you're just not being as responsive, things like that. Like there's a lot of plays into it, into why people play certain builds. Just like if they want to live, they'll put in like more vitality, some toughness, all that stuff. But if you can coordinate yourself, know your skills to get out of certain situations, then yeah, you're just going to run more damage. So,
Yeah, I don't know. That Scrubby 2.0 fight, I don't know. I thought that one was
that hard for anyone?
well. I think if you're not running solid DPS, which
It was
so you can nuke it down.
it was bugged on release, where
Okay, yeah, that's kind of the
basically
only time
that was when the desync was happening.
Oh.
So I couldn't. Krista had my wife had the instance, and I couldn't res her because my client said her body was over here, but her client said her body was over there, and who knows where the server said it was. So, and that was happening with, player entities as well as NPC entities. So the fight was all over the place. And we found out about that like 3/4 of the way through the fight, and we weren't willing to wait that long. So we just kind of muscled through it.
Okay.
And now that I remember it, like that was.
Oh, I think I did the story when I got home that night. I don't know if the desync was still there. I beat it the first time. It's just.
Yeah, I think the article did say that Living Story 4 was too easy. That's what they were assuming. But
I think Karaji has a point that like I always bring it up that the game is based around casual play. So yeah, bringing it down to the point where people can do it, but like putting in mechanics where it's at least a little bit challenging is okay. If they put in a hard mode, that'd be kind of cool, but I think hard mode via achievements would also be okay as well, because I remember distinctly season 2 there was an achievement. It was like you're fighting you're fighting a dragon in the grove, and it's like don't get hit by anything. I'm like, oh, okay, that was hard.
I will disagree with the super casual qualifier. I do believe that the Living Story is tailored for a more casual play style. I feel like super casual is dumbed down to the point where you can press 1 to win and not really worry about anything else. And I don't think there's an instance where I can necessarily do that.
and before someone says, not even the Zytan fight, because you do have ads. You do have to occasionally hop off of there.
Anyway, more specifically, I do agree that adding a hard mode would be great.
Yeah.
Like, I do think adding a hard mode to instances would be good.
Yeah. Yeah, failing solutions is not possible anymore anyways, so.
Okay, but what kind of gear did Nike have doing that? Like, the gear matters.
I played a war. Yeah. But yeah, I think, yeah, it's just interesting to see how they, and I think that's kind of the thing that you have to. I think for story mode, it's fine that if it's easier.
I think, like I said in the past, was season 2? I was hopeful that was like kind of how they were gonna somewhat deal with dungeons and stuff. Was you did the story, Living Story stuff, and then like we had the Shadow of the Dragon where it was like don't get knocked down, so you had to constantly be hopping and stuff. It was like you had like the challenge modes, and
those were those achievements were great. Like it actually made it challenging. It's like I failed that multiple times just because I got hit by something. I'm like, oh man, okay, I gotta die and start over. So it's like I really like those. I think those are really challenging. So if they can add more stuff like that, that'd be kind of cool.
And yeah, some of those achievements, like throughout the story, were like as long as you had someone else there, they could run off. But like I said, I'm looking at the ones that were like the Shadow of the Dragon, and I think it was the Centaur one that like he got more skills and stuff like that and hit harder. But yeah. Also, they talked about in the article guild specific content. Kind of going back to that, even though they're not saying it, they're listening. They did say it is something that they have been investigating. They're still trying to find a way that makes the most sense. They still obviously are releasing guild hall decorations for the fans to build the guild halls the way they want. But so yeah, too much to elaborate on. But
I need to get on soapbox again. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, I need the camera. I need the me camera for this one. This. I'm just wait.
He wants the
focus. I need the focus camera.
Oh, okay.
All right. So Arena, I've been asking this for years now. Years. I need guild missions back. I need specifically Llama Rush. I need this. I need this in my life. Please give me Llama Rush. At the very least, give me your Llama Rush. And like, I know it's hard because there are different expansions, there are different pieces of content that people may or may not have. But I believe in you, and I need guild missions back. I need to meme, and I need the Llama Rush. Thank you. Okay. I'm good now.
And if you'd like to support his cause, there's a and I mean, in chat, you're saying translation, they aren't doing anything. This kind of goes back to, this is why, like, what's the point of them even replying that they're trying to look at something?
Again, this goes back
if we
to
bat down everything
issue.
if they say, we gotta try to take them at their word. I mean,
yeah, even if they combine it with existing content like bounties, like I thought they were going to do that honestly, but yeah, like totally. Just like I mean, like guild missions are the greatest thing I think for guild content. Not necessarily just running around and doing like hero trains or like doing hero trains and helping out the guild mates with like different achievements and stuff like that is great. But like how guild missions are like an organized thing. You can organize a night to do it, and it's just consistent content that people can do, and then you get rewards for it.
well, I like the idea of the legendary insights and divinations can't be linked anymore, because that whole kill proof of, prove to me that you killed this thing so we can go kill this thing. Well, that's like, I mean, granted, if you're designing one where you're wanting to speed run the thing, but I've seen that for like starter groups. Like, it's like beggars can't be choosers. Come on.
Yep. And yeah, I don't like that response, Mofongo. I'm not gonna lie. We aren't doing anything. He literally just said that they are exploring avenues to do stuff, and that goes back to me talking about intake information, exploratory design work, implementation, release. And at any point, those steps can get set back to square one. So yeah, they're working on it. And oh my God, Kiraji, no, we can't do secondary professions in this game. It's not built for it. You can't be a warrior mesmer in this game. It would not work.
Well, I think that's what the elite specializations were meant to be. They took another aspect from the other.
Yeah. But it's not possible to do those systems in this game without completely reworking the way player characters are built. It's just not. Like Guild Wars 1 was designed to do that from the get-go. Guild Wars 2 wasn't. So elite skill captures? Maybe. I think the elite skill slot could use some expansion in a general sense.
They did that. I mean, granted, of some of the stuff they hid behind, like, because they tried that with the traits before, where you had to go do certain tasks. That was basically, I think what they were trying to do with that was almost, but
K-Fizzle, we were talking about that earlier. Like, the alliance system is huge. There is no way they can, and they've announced that a year and a half ago, I want to say.
Yeah.
I am not surprised it's taken them this long to work on it.
And who knows? They might have had to scrap things. I don't know either way, but it's
yeah. But this is a lot of after show stuff. So we're
because boy oh boy, this is probably going to be another big topic of. We kind of followed this when it kind of has hit a pretty big spot, and I think this is another one is in regards to loot boxes. BBC News has actually reported UK officials say loot boxes are gambling in one of their most recent reports. Now, this doesn't mean that it's getting passed. This is basically they have made a report that they're going to try to get through Parliament to hopefully enact this. So it doesn't mean that it's happening. This still has to be voted on and stuff like that. But
I really liked reading that. I really liked reading. It's like, when we interviewed the game companies, like they weren't for like answering our questions to the fullest extent, and then we had gamers contact us and tell us that they were straight up lying and things like. I'm like, oh no. It's like you done messed up.
But yeah, this is basically to look at the idea of loot boxes and them targeting children. So basically, you're probably looking at games that are 17 and under.
I love the fact that even though all of this is happening, 2K still has the audacity to add freaking an actual virtual online casino to 2K, which is a basketball game, which is for children. I'm like, really? You're just trying to get all the monies before it goes through. I just don't understand. It's like you just had a good thing going, and when we asked you politely to not make us like spend absorbent amounts of money, just like tone it down a bit. It's like, and then like, and now you're trying to. Such a situation, man.
Yeah, because I think I originally saw this referenced to people on Elder Scrolls Online, and that's the important thing is, since it is targeting children, Elder Scrolls Online is actually rated 18 plus in the UK, so it probably wouldn't affect them. But that's why I was so interested in bringing it here, because this game is teen for ESRB, so in America and whatnot, where the ESRB goes. But I think PEGI, it's 12, so it would definitely affect it here. So that's why I was curious of bringing that topic up. Okay, 12 plus. So, but yeah, so I think my biggest worry is what's going to replace it that's inevitably going to be worse.
This is an after show thing for me, but just to summarize my thoughts, I think we're plateauing to a point where we need to either increase the price in the games, because like at this point there are no microtransactions that I can see that are coming in to replace loot boxes that people will accept. Because like I think our limits right now is DLC and cosmetics. Because like I don't see how and the subscription stuff. because I don't see how you can push the envelope farther than that. And with people going as live services, I've stopped calling them mini MMOs at this point, and you have to take the mentality of an MMO. You have to go that route in order to support your games. And I think I know Ubisoft has had a few issues with the purchases with the Assassin's Creed Odyssey and XP boosters and things like that, but like they're honestly the best in terms of constant live services. I still think they can do improvements, like don't gate XP, but yeah.
I agree. I mean, I think we've all taken this stance of we'd prefer to have it stay as cosmetic, and also if there's like DLC like type things of, in the sense of like expansion DLC type things.
And think about it. 10 years ago, we didn't want DLC at all. We wanted the game. Like DLC was like frowned upon, but
I know some people still want the game, but I just don't think for the quality they put out, if you're going to get it at a $59 price tag, or however the conversion goes from where you're at, you're not. It's just not, unfortunately, realistic.
Yeah, so I think we need to increase the price in games because you okay there?
Well, he just turned what the fuck? He wanted to become age.
Yeah. So I think okay, I'll turn it off real quick. I think the problem is just because I think if we increase the price in games, people are going to be more wary because like they don't want to be spending $80 on a game unless it's worth it, right? And I think that's good, and it makes the game companies more wary about what they're doing. And there's going to always be super fans, but at least like there'll be more and more people who will think before they buy, and I think that's the most important thing. But yeah, that's my mini summary.
Yeah,
we can talk about after show later.
And like I think chat's hitting upon like what I was saying as the supply drops as kind of a way to help fund the idea of what they're missing out for an expansion, but we'll get to it here in a second. But I just want to throw that out there for people that maybe didn't get to see it, because it's another country that is looking to ban them, which in this case it might turn out the same as Belgium that did it, where I think in Belgium it is basically disabled. So
and that hits EA a lot because it's the UK and FIFA, and FIFA makes up a lot of money for EA. So, and if it hits the UK, that's going to be rough.
Mm-hmm. But well, I mean, hey, if you want to see the item and spend that item and not take a chance on it and get the actual.
Yes.
You want to say?
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. FIFA accounted for like 50% of EA's revenue.
Yeah.
Something like billions one year.
Another
minor point to counter your point about games costing more. It's not necessarily a problem with that. It's more a problem with how much corporate level officers are paid.
Yes.
For example, Bobby Kotick, I think he's the CEO of. Get out of the way.
He's the CEO. Anyway, he should get out of the way. I agree.
CEO of Blizzard, I think in 2017 took home $40 million.
Yeah.
And then like the 800 people they fired on like average salary of like developing staff. Bobby Kotick, like the entire corporate level officer team, could have absorbed the salaries of those people on a per yearly basis and their bonuses and made a couple $1 million less a year. So it's not really a problem with the games costing more. Yeah. It's a problem with people who don't really make the games making too much money. So
I can get on a soapbox about that, but we'll do it after because yeah.
But like I said, if you want to see the item and pay for it and get that item deliberately, you can do that in the gem store. speaking of the gem store, we have our first item. Here it is. It is the Cube Matrix Glider for 500 gems. And it is a glider. No back piece, just a glider. So you can dye it freely, but it basically puts all those little cubes around you. Pretty standard. I mean, it is what it is. You know, pretty much what you see right there. But would you guys be picking any of this up, or would you have a little Acern that would it work perfectly for?
Well, because I have the Iron Man outfit,
Ooh,
I put on my Asura, but I also have the glider that goes with it. But I think this one will work a little bit better.
the little cubes could be your Jarvis. Whoop.
I think go ahead. Oh well, okay.
Just crashed out on me.
We're having camera wars. Oh, emotes on the gem store. That, yeah. I mean, to be fair, last time they expanded on the emotes, they kind of just gave them to us in game, which isn't a bad thing either.
If I don't get those drums that they're featuring in that prologue, I will tweet that out. I will say I want my drums and my guitar.
Oh yeah, Chad's saying the cube glider might go with the Y series golem from episode 2, like the backpack thing. Yeah, that. But hey, if technology isn't your style and your character, they also put it in a pirate's captain chair for 400 gems. See it here? Has a nice little boat, and it looks like a shark's mouth for the top part there. Heck, that might be it. Yeah. It's a novelty chair, so pretty standard. Don't know. I bought the sky scale chair. I don't think I could get another chair. I think that's the perfect one for me. But I mean, if you want to look and talk like a pirate, you gotta dress the part. You gotta get that chair. But also, and what we were talking about in the previous weeks, the New Horizons supply drop, and you can see the list here. We're on week 3. So if you bought it previously, you will be getting the you should have got the week 3 stuff. But if you do buy it currently, it will be currently now 2,700 gems. And remember, if you do buy it in week 3, you still do get week 1 and week 2 stuff and also week 4 when that rolls around. But yeah, I mean, 2,700 gems is still a good price. We talked about the breakdown 2 weeks ago when it first came out. You're even at full price, it still is a deal, but it's even further a deal if you get it currently. But we talked about it. We talked about it at the beginning of the show and stuff. I feel like this is maybe how they're going to try to counteract the, well, they're not making money from expansions. How are they going to make money? And I think this is how they might try to do that because, I think at the cheapest it was like, what, 2,000 gems or something around there, which around $20 or something. That's pretty close to, and this is the second one they've done. If they do 2 of these a year, even 3 or something, they could easily make their money from an expansion, or even more so.
I bought this because I kind of like the idea behind them. But they're so far 4 months apart, and like you said, 3 a year. So
yeah, I still haven't bought one yet. I don't know.
They haven't enticed me enough yet, but I am intrigued by them.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and it feels like an optional sub type of deal.
Yes.
Of note, if something that might change your mind on it is all of the choosy items do get updated. So
Yeah.
if what you have, if what's in there isn't to your liking, you can hold on to that item in your inventory and then go back and check it later. Because I wanted the Iron Legion backpack, like the jetpack glider backpack combo, and that wasn't in it when I bought the first pack. And I just recently went back and double checked it, and it was in the backpack glider choosy thing. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's if you know you're eventually going to want something, it's good to have the item to just grab what you want.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a whole thing about it. We'll see. Maybe I'll buy the next one. I also want to see how often they're going to do it. If it's going to be every new episode, or if it's going to be kind of like every 3 months they'll throw one out. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Like I said, week 4 will be at full price, but it still is a pretty good deal if you're so inclined. But with all the stuff that you're getting, but yeah, definitely pick that up if you want. Some of the returning stuff: Elite Reinforcements package for 3,000 gems, the Skyscale Ascension Mount pack for 2,000 gems, Blackline Keys and Scrap package for 900 gems, which that is only max 2 per account. The Pirate Corsair hat, hook and peg leg boot skins, 180 gems a piece, and that's 40% off. The wide rim glasses for 150 gems, aviator sunglasses for 150 gems, aviator cap for 200 gems, the fuzzy cat hat 200 gems, Magnus's eye patch, and you get 2 eye patches, so that's just, you get 2 skins for that. 240 gems, 40% off. The Lawless helmet, gloves, and boot skins for 300 gems a piece. The fuzzy Arene hat and Scarlet Spalders and Grasp are 400 gems a piece. Skyscale Ascension mount pack, I think, would be 2,000 gems. Abaddon's mask, hey, we were talking about it. 500 gems. Pirate's Captain outfit for 400 gems, which is 30% off. The Slayer's outfit, the Ironclad outfit, the Inquest exosuit outfit, Mad Scientist outfit, First Follower Desmina outfit, and the Bloody Princess outfit, all for 700 gems a piece. And that's all in there. But leaving soon, so you'd have to act fast, are also the Timekeeper outfit, Elonian Elementalist outfit, and Champion of Tyria outfit, which are 700 gems a piece as well. So I guess my question is, and if Chad, do you guys have any recommendations of what, like, oh, someone should pick up that one? It's, cool looking, which me, Abaddon mask.
Yeah, don't waste your money on the Abaddon mask.
Wait,
See, I'm personally with Mithrin.
You can't wear both eye patches at the same time? Well, then it would be a blindfold and it wouldn't be in.
Look, no, it's not. It's 2 eye patches. It's different. It's not a blindfold. It's not a cross. It's 2 eye patches. It's very different. Look, if
but it would be one head
blindfolds,
slot, so technically it would be a blindfold.
Shh.
Abaddon.
Not the
It
same.
would just be a third. There would just be a third one that just puts both eye patches on you. That's it.
There you go.
Although I will admit, I do agree with Mithrin that like some of the other like helmet skins that are like the face paint, I do think those should be able to, like, some of the facial accessory things should be able to be like combined into a single head slot.
Mm-hmm.
I would put it in the Forge even. Like, that'd be worth it. Slayer's outfit's good if you want that Monster Hunter feel, I guess.
Ironclad if you want to be Iron Man. Isn't that the one you were talking about?
No, I have the exosuit.
Oh, you have they have the Inquest exosuit. They have that one.
No, not.
Oh, just the regular one. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just the regular one. What else? The Elonian Elementalist outfit. It's just nice if you're like Guild Wars 1 nostalgic, I guess. The Cube Matrix glider. I'm just gonna go back to that one. I think that's a pretty good one.
You can get the wide rim glasses and sit in lines art. Just go, I was here before, you can be a lines art
I was here
hipster.
before it was destroyed.
Yeah.
The first time. Yeah.
But yeah. Any other thoughts on the gem store?
Nope.
Last up, we have Community Corner, and first off, a blog post from Guild Wars 2 doing a behind the cosplay with HyperX. Basically showed off the cosplay that they worked on during the announcement, the Icebrood Saga announcement. They had the Ashley's siblings of Terrible Trio Creations, which was the Char, and Greg of Bjorn's Workshop, which was the Norn. Definitely go check that out if you want to. It basically showed like how they made the kind of stuff, and if you're at all interested in cosplay, it's. But also, once again, Chronicles of Tyria, their summer of short stories. Every week until October 19th, a Guild Wars 2 community writer will publish a Guild Wars 2 short story on their website, and I'll throw the link in chat if you want to check it out for this week. And also, lastly, Gamers Giving Back, their plans for the Pink Day in LA stuff. It looks like is that the date that they have? Saturday. So they're doing Pink Day in LA on Saturday, October 19th. But they are doing a volunteer meeting on Saturday, September 28th. If you are at all interested, and we'll throw the link to their Twitter in there. And if you follow that, they usually give updates on all that stuff. But if you're not familiar with Pink Day in LA, I mean, it's been going on since Guild Wars 1. Just tremendous work. It's always a fun time. So definitely check it out. Any thoughts on Community Corner, any of the stuff we talked about?
The cosplay, the people that they have for the cosplay, like some of that stuff's ridiculous. Like that's some serious effort put into that, and I was very impressed.
But all right, that looks like that is it for this week. So Jim, where can they find you?
I can be found on Twitter at MalthanusMMO. You can also find me live on this very channel, twitch.tv/MAAD That's 2 A's in the MAAD, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time for Zero to Hero, ostensibly. Sometimes Vote to Kick if I manage to get life to calm down enough to land a guest and a topic. Thinking about getting back into ranked PvP for Guild Wars 2 this coming Wednesday, just to see where things are going. Figure I'll hop in on a class that I've never done it before. Just, YOLO into ranked with something I haven't really played in PvP. Because that'll be fun, right? Right. Hope to see you all there. Help me endure the suffering.
That's awesome. And Age, where can they find you?
Not suffering in PvP. You can find me.
Because you play a thief, you can just run away.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at Age Night Road, where I'll probably be suffering in World versus World. I haven't streamed this week. I was getting back into work, and I actually have a project that's coming up, so that I honestly don't know how much time I'll be streaming. But I'll try to do something this week. I plan to get Gears 5. I don't think I could stream it, but if anything, I'll probably stream some like Guild Wars or something. Maybe some Warframe.
Awesome. Oh, I heard that.
Maybe. I said maybe.
Okay. And you can find me at simply_Dale on Twitch and Twitter. And I like the idea of streaming. We talked, throughout this whole podcast, we talked about the wants that we want to have in the game, and then the reality. I would love to stream more. Reality is less likely. But if I am streaming, halftime is also on here, so you should follow twitch.tv/MAADRealms, 2 A's in the MAAD. Which, speaking of which, we're on Tuesday, myself and Age are going to be doing I believe, episode 6 of our Warframe podcast that we've just recently started. It's a bi-weekly one where we talk about the news and stuff there, similar to kind of this, but Warframe related. And I'm sure Age will get to gush about Gauss since he finally got to play it.
So much fun, guys.
But yeah, if you are just popping at the very end, do stick around. We do a bit of an after show. If you want to watch us in full, we do highlight it on Twitch, twitch.tv/MAADrealms. And if you prefer YouTube, we do put it up on YouTube on Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. YouTube.com/MAADrealms. If you want it all in one cozy little package, we do have our website, MAADrealms.com. That's 2 A's in the MAAD. That's also where we have our audio version of the podcast. And that's also where you can find an easy place to find the Warframe podcast, vote to kick stuff if we do any other things. But yeah, that is it for this week. So we'll see everybody next time and in the game. Good night, everybody.